Hey everybody, Madeline here to talk about Saturn stationing direct. When Saturn goes direct, karmic cycles are going to break and we're going to start seeing new beginnings. Saturn is the great karmic teacher, and when it goes retrograde, it pulls each one of us inward and forces us to look at our shadows and confront ourselves basically and reflect on our patterns and take responsibility for our part in things, hopefully, and basically mature, grow up. And Saturn in Pisces is emotional waters. And when Saturn is in retrograde in Pisces, it churns up the emotional waters and brings up old emotional, painful memories and feelings can show up that are uncomfortable. And it can trigger us to escape these feelings and basically cause us to sort of feel an emptiness, a spiritual emptiness, which then causes us to repeat karmic cycles. So when Saturn is in retrograde, we meet that point again where we usually make a karmic choice. But our souls are growing in this period. It is a spiritual transit. It is about an inward evolution where we confront that part of us, that emptiness, that part where we seek something on the external to heal something on the internal. And we know it doesn't work now. So we're really facing that and making big strides and resisting the old ways, going back to something that isn't good for us. Painful memories can show up and it can bring feelings of guilt and shame. And we're really sort of going through a process where we're realizing where we were wrong. And this isn't for punishment, it's to expose our karmic patterns so that we can cleanse our karmic waters. Pisces is the end of the astrological sign. So when it is in Pisces, when Saturn moves into Pisces, it is ending a 29-year cycle. As soon as we clear these lessons, when Saturn is at the end degrees of the cycle, of the karmic cycle, in retrograde, we become so aware of our patterns that we suddenly clear them. We end that's how we end a karmic cycle because we've become aware of it. And in that awareness, we make choices. We're making different choices. We're changing who we are on the inside. We've ended a pattern. We're ending a big pattern, shall we say, that is a destructive pattern, that is a self-destructive pattern. So all of a sudden, you're going to see sudden things dissolve and end out of our lives, like a living situation, karmic relationship could just suddenly end. Um, a parent could pass away because, we're all here with karmic cycles and journeys with our parents. So a parent could pass. We could suddenly, shall we say, a karmic job suddenly ends and we're seeing a new beginning. Again, these cycles are ending, create a vacuum, which sucks in a new beginning. That's how the universe works. As soon as there's a vacuum, it's filled. So we're going to see the new beginnings as the old lives dissolve before our very eyes. Old living situations, jobs, relationships, partnerships, somewhere, wherever Capricorn rules your chart. I'm going to go through all the 12 signs. So, as our awareness grows during this retrograde period, by the time the planet stations direct, we've learned some major lessons because during the period that Saturn was in retrograde in July until now, we may have felt a lot of stagnation. Saturn would have shut and blocked a lot of things so that we really aren't so busy that we're not reflecting, right? And so we may have not had clarity until now. The clarity is building now as Saturn stationing direct, but there would have been a period of feeling of stagnancy and blocks and emotional heaviness. And like I say, karmic cycles definitely may have returned for a lot of people because we have to sometimes see in the retrograde period, we're reflecting as we're sometimes repeating the karmic cycle. Maybe that brings clarity to the reflection period, as it were. So a lot of job pressures could have been happening for a lot of people, a lot of confusion about our shall we say, path, our direction, spiritual numbness, heaviness, depression, but this is also that we confront our unresolved karma and face truths we haven't wanted to see. Old relationship boundaries are tested. The big chance, as like I say, that spiritual emptiness shows up. It could spark relapses, like I say, going back to things that aren't right for us, that are self-destructive. And we're basically facing and gaining clarity of the root cause of our karmic cycles and the emptiness that causes us to make the choices that we make that cause another karmic cycle, which we don't want to do right now. So Saturn direct brings us karmic clarity and the fog lifts. And we're basically back on our destiny, and the destiny resumes its flow. And we start to see the beginnings of a new stability. You can feel it in the energy. So Pisces is the energy of emotions, right? And like I said, when Saturn was in retrograde in Pisces, it churned up those emotions. Well, now that's all going to stabilize. Things are going to feel calm. And Saturn stationing direct is going to bring us a lot of discipline and maturity. And we're going to be able to make very big decisions, long-term decisions. We have a clarity about that. We know what we want now. We know what our new cycle is because we've cleared a karmic base choice point. I hope that's clear. We're making choices that are in alignment with our destiny, with a karmic justice. Um, yes, we're aligning with divine order. When we created our karma, we were making choices that were not in alignment with divine order. Karmic Saturn retrograde, we become aware of how we were making choices out of not in divine order, out of alignment with divine order. So as the planet Saturn stations direct, the energy, like I say, of karmic alignment starts to move forward. There's a momentum building. Things are starting to feel stable. And as this is happening, the universe acknowledges the inner growth, the hard work that we did, and says, you are now ready for the next step. Woohoo! So Saturn stationing direct is going to bring us all a lot of momentum forward in an area where we've done a lot of karmic clearing. And I'm going to go through all the 12 signs and talk about that for each of the sign. All right. See you there. All right, Sagittarius. Saturn has been in your fourth house for about 3 years. And Saturn moving into the fourth house is a big restructuring of our whole foundation of our whole lives. It restructures our family. It can have a parent pass away. It is a very, shall we say, long-term situation shifts. So something that has been very stable for a while now becomes restructured. My mother, I'm Sagittarius sun, and my mother passed away right as the Saturn moved into Pisces, and it was the right time. You know, it's almost as though the universe was waiting for me to have my Saturn in my fourth house. But anyway, we wrapped up our karma, and she passed away. So this is a house. Again, we're looking at Pisces, which is the end of the cycle. And water is dissolving things. It dissolves the old, Saturn in water dissolves the old foundation. It's like having a cardboard box in water. And the fourth house is the house of our foundation, and we're clearing karma there. So you may have been in the last 3 years ending a pattern of making families or foundations or creating a foundation on false foundation, shall we say, trying to create a stable life on a false foundation, a false family. Um, so Saturn in retrograde is going to bring all that rockiness up and that family turmoil up and family troubles and a lack of feeling really stable and secure. You know, it would have been it could be very tension building. And, look at water when it's not stable. It's causing lots of emotional upheavals and back and forth energy. And so Saturn in retrograde really shook up your family. And now that it's stationing direct, something's going to start feeling stable there. It's going to start feeling like what settles here is your true family. You're going to see that your family did hold together. It just changed shape. For instance, this resonates for me. I'm Sagittarius, and in the last 3 years, I know for my sons, they were living with their dad, they're Sagittarius, and that all changed. And so the whole foundation of where we all used to meet and congregate is completely changed. So our family is completely dissolved. We're all in different cities. I got divorced and all that. So it's like, wow, we had to sort of dissolve the old shape of our family, but there is a new structure building between us. It's just different. It'll involve travel to see each other and maybe fun vacations together. So it's the dissolving of the shape of the old family, and it is often connected to a parent passing, if that is the age that is time for. Um, Now, Saturn, your Capricorn house is your second house. So the finances are going to improve here with Saturn direct now you have a water trine with Jupiter in exaltation in your eighth house. Again, a finance house. When Saturn station directs, you are looking at potential travel with that Mercury in your 12th house going direct, Jupiter trining Saturn in the eighth. There could be some sort of financial windfall that enables you to travel or enables you to move and stabilize and put you in a living situation that keeps you stable for a good 29 years. You're going to shift here into a new family, and it's going to be very stable. There's a new strong foundation coming, and this one is more solid because it's built on the soul aligned family. Not that my old family wasn't soul aligned, but my ex-husband and I weren't true. I built a foundation on a faulty relationship. So now we're going to build this new foundation on a learned karmic cleared new foundation. They call it karmic justice, and shall we say divine, a new foundation that is the divine order, that is a true strong foundation, a big new family starting that will last 29 years, or more depending on your age. You're going to have another Saturn cycle. This could be your first Saturn cycle in the fourth house. I'm rising Cancer, so when Saturn was in my fourth house, it was in 2016. And that was when I did pack up my old house, put it on the market and sell it. So that old structure, that old foundation, I sold that house 16 years in, so it's the halfway cycle there of a Saturn cycle. So as unsettling as that Saturn retrograde happened, it was to have you reflect on what spiritual emptiness you're experiencing that causes you to rush a family situation that is not authentic, is not your true soul aligned family, and how it created a 29-year karmic cycle that you're now evolved on a soul level above. You've cycled up over this. You've learned the lesson. You're now following a more soul aligned dharmic connection that is a true foundation. So this Saturn in direct is going to bring peace at home, support in property decisions, strengthens emotional grounding, helps you reconnect with family, and the heart begins to feel safe again. All right. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will come back, especially for Sagittarius. I'm going to do a report on the fire energy that's coming in all together here when Mercury joins into Sagittarius. We're going to have all the personal planets in fire. So we are going to be inspired and excited, us Sagittarians, to take spontaneous action, spontaneous travel. But I'm going to go deeper into that in my next video. I've decided not to do the 12 signs each month because it's too much going on and I get a little rushed with all the info. So I prefer to focus on fewer transits and more posts for all the 12 signs. All right. If you would like a personal reading, feel free to contact me at or book at my website, soullevels.com, and email me at MadelaineParker111 to be put on my mailing list, or if you have any questions. All right. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.